We've got 3 days left until National Novel Writing Month begins, and maybe you spent all of October plotting out your new project, or maybe you are panicking a little because you have no idea what you're doing next month. Whether you just decided yesterday to participate in NaNoWriMo or the end of October just kind of snuck up on you, if you are feeling stressed and underprepared for Nano, today I have 4 tips for you on how to do some last-minute prep. First up, if you have no idea what book you're going to write next month, or the idea you have is just severely underdeveloped, start by figuring out these 3 things. In order to have a complete book, you have to start out with a character, a setting, and a conflict. You can't write a book without one of those 3 things. And if you're having trouble figuring out one or more of those elements, think about how all 3 will interact with each other. So if you want to write a story set in a small town, and that's all you know, think about whether you want your main character to be an insider or an outsider. Are they new to this town? Have they lived in it their whole life? Did they used to live there and then they left and now they're coming back? Do they love their hometown, or are they desperately wishing to escape? And then take those 2 things and build a conflict off of it. So if you have a character who has lived in this small town their whole life and they love it, they never want to live anywhere else, maybe something happens that makes them see the darker side of their town. On the flip side, if your main character is finally on the brink of escaping their small town, create a conflict that threatens to keep them there. Once you've figured out those 3 cornerstones of your story, the next step is to surround yourself with things that inspire you. Listen to music, scroll through Pinterest, go to the mall and eavesdrop on conversations. Whatever it is that gets you inspired, just soak that all in over the next 3 days. While you're doing that, start writing down any ideas that come to you. Dialogue, scenes you want to write, thoughts about character relationships, get that all down onto paper or onto your computer. It doesn't have to be organized, it can be totally messy, just get it out. And then the 4th and final thing that you can do right before Nano starts is use a simple plot structure to figure out the major points of your story. So I use 4-part story structure. There's also 3-act, which is really popular, and they're both very basic frameworks. There are much more detailed and complicated structures out there, but you don't really have enough time for that. In the 4-part model, for example, you figure out 3 major plot points. These are those big moments in your story where everything changes for your character. And then you figure out 2 pinch points, which are just little moments that really up the stakes for your readers. Even if you're a pantser or you're wary of story structure because you think it might make your story too formulaic, things like 4-part and 3-act are so basic and have so little detail to them that they're really more frameworks than structures. And the great thing about them, especially for something like Nano where you're just trying to get a lot of words down, is it gives you something to aim towards. You are heading for that first plot point about a quarter of the way into your book, and then from there you're heading to the midpoint, and it gives you an idea of what you need to be building towards. And that's it. Those are 4 very simple things that you can do over the next 3 days before November 1st so that you can be ready for NaNoWriMo. You don't have to have a 4-page Excel document outlining every chapter in your book. If you want that, that's great, but you don't need it. If all you have is a setting, a character, and a conflict, you can definitely build a story off of that, and you have enough time to do it. Good luck, and the next time I see you guys, it will be National Novel Writing Month.